Now, we're still in chapter 2 of the textbook on the unifying concept of imperfection. This, by the way, is another way to kid your friends, say, you know, what is imperfection? It is nature. Nature, everything around flows one way. One way. You can fill in the examples that come to your mind now or during the night. One way. That means irreversibly. And I went kind of quickly through 3 examples from disciplines that you have been taught. So that's thermodynamics. And then heat transfer. And fluid flow. Going fast through these is really too fast. So today I'll be going through the list again with additional examples of, let's call them mental images that I'm sure are familiar to each of you. Okay, the fluid flow that we've looked at was of 2 kinds, internal and external. Again, why this is in part 1 of the course is that good teaching is not the activity of throwing heavy balls at you to ask you to catch them. It's about connecting your past with what lies ahead. And so that's why I begin with these things. As you'll see in the next lecture, I will continue with even simpler things called simple flow configurations, like the round shape of the blood vessel and everything else that flows through something else. Naturally, it lubricates itself by shaping itself to proceed more easily through. I know your imagination runs wild now, but everything that flows, say the Gulf Stream through the ocean, the jet stream through the atmosphere, people cannot make cross-sectional cuts through these flows. But with the knowledge of fluid mechanics, you figure out that these things flow through other things as threads or ropes, because that is the way to flow more easily, you see. Like a conga line of movers, in this case air or water. And of course, indigents in the Congo, they walk one behind the other. Okay? I don't want to lose you as an audience. So today we'll be going through these things again in a better illustrated fashion. The first addition to the list of examples is this thing about the external flow. Oh, by the way, I meant to say the unifying conclusion at the end of the previous lecture was that imperfection is measurable as losses all the way to money that leaks out of your wallet. Imperfection is a loss that's measurable, and that loss is proportional to the product of the through and the across. The current that's that flows because it was driven by what you pay, and the across is the difference of potential or altitude or temperature difference that forces that thing to proceed against the much abused word resistance. You see, I avoid the word resistance because resistance has many meanings, especially in the social dynamics and politics. It is about the product of what flows and the difference that drives it. And that product is the one that is imperfection and is measurable, but it is also costly from the point of view of those who employ these flow configurations for human benefit. So, external flow. Well, I mentioned the boat driven on the lake. This time the blob is no boat, but it's a body that moves on the surface of the water. It moves, but the observer is riding on the boat, and that means that the water flows into the boat with a faraway speed infinity. What happens behind the boat is a complicated matter. I can get into that as we proceed in the course if you are curious. By the way, you should learn to be curious and contributors to this discussion. Do not remain quiet. Okay? Because if you're quiet, I'm going to call the ambulance. All right, so what happens here? Everybody knows that this lake that rams into the boat is exerting a force. It's called drag force because of friction and obviously pressure difference here relative to somewhere else, a force. So here is the picture that says it all, but in this language of I did not write down, through and multiply with the across. What is the through and what is the across here? Because we know about the imperfection. This thing would not exist without your paying money for the gas in the outboard motor to push the boat through on the surface of the lake. Okay, now the answer to what about that is visible if you imagine that you observe that you are floating on the lake. So the through is obviously the body moving from right to left with this velocity. What is the across? What drives the body? Anyone? Force. But wait a minute. By the across is supposed to be a difference. So, I'll give it a chance. Do you know the difference?
No.
Remember, it's across. You.
I don't know the difference either, but is U infinity the speed of the
Say it again?
Is U infinity the speed of the boat going through the water or the speed of the water flow?
No, where would the delta? U infinity is already on the blackboard. That's the through. U infinity is the movement of this bullet through this barrel of this gun, okay? What is the difference that drives that body? It's on the hint. It's on the blackboard. You're right. It's F, and it is a difference because behind the body there is no force or almost no force. So the so-called across is F itself, and so the penalty, which is known as the power, is the product, in this case, exact U infinity times F. It has the units of watts. And or joules per second. And the better the shape of the boat, meaning the shape of the hull, the better the motor of that boat, the less power requirement, meaning the less imperfect. But the mover, the design, this animal is imperfect. By the way, if you swim, or when you swim, you'll feel this F in front of you. You'll definitely feel the need to spend the power, watts. You cannot swim forever, meaning, never mind that. Endurance swimming is always, makes me shake my head. So you get the idea, you have the idea, you get a feeling for the idea. So I've dealt with external flow one more time, this time. The next item on my marching orders is to show you another way of getting a feel for why heat transfer is, by definition, imperfect. There is no heat transfer that is not imperfect. So heat transfer. The first answer to why is heat transfer imperfect, I gave it to you last time. It was comparing the flow of a heat current from a high temperature to a lower temperature. This heat current, I'll call it Q dot, which is a number of watts. Flowing through a body that the innards of which are not moving. And for that reason, the so-called heat, people call it heat, is conserved as it goes through. But why is it always, or it must be, one way? And why that one way means imperfection? You should figure out the answer yourselves, because I show the comparison between this and a heat engine. But this time I draw the heat engine inside this rectangle, and I draw it this way. Here's the heat engine. E means the heat engine, with its power output. And by the way, this engine doesn't have to be a Carnot engine. Obviously, all engines are not Carnot engines. But because this piece of solid conductor has no contact laterally with anything, the power, call it W dot, cannot get out. So it must be dissipated internally by a dissipator. Most common in our daily life for a dissipator is the brake on your car. The car has kinetic energy to slow down or to stop. You must dissipate that, which means the car does work on the brake. The brake is here. And the brake rejects heating to the ambient in equal measure, meaning the Q dot B is the same number of watts as the power that would have been produced had something been moving inside this dead system. See that? So you got your energy conservation all right. This Q at the top is the same as the Q at the bottom, meaning the sum of these two arrows is the same as the entering arrow. But with this genuflecting of your mind, you'll have the idea forever, that heat must flow from high to low. Why? Because known only to you, inside this boring picture without my drawing, there is an engine that is, its hands are tied. It cannot deliver its power to you. Get it? No, I'll get to you in a second. I was about to ask you if you have friends who happen to be geeks, geeks. Ask them, what is a power plant? A power plant is the same drawing. It might even have the brake in there. The same drawing, but with a gate of opportunity for this W to get out and help you in life. So you see, the power plant is my drawing, the one that I did before I used my finger. My drawing liberated into this more complicated design called power plant. Before the invention of the power plant, everything on this planet was behaving like this dead system sketched here. Here, use your imagination. So, Adrian, what did you say? I see. Heating from the sun travels downward in temperature through the atmosphere, and the atmosphere is dead, you see, not moving. See that? So that's how you discover that you should not take seriously everything I say. The atmosphere is moving because the atmosphere is an engine. You see this E inside the atmospheric air. That is, if you imagine, the engine is working, producing power, and the brake is internal, meaning the atmosphere itself rubbing against itself and the ground. So the atmospheric circulation fits in this original box of mine. Oceanic circulation, the same thing. Animal migration is the same thing. And so is human society. Your movement is dissipating the power that came to your body because of your internal motor, beginning with metabolism, which is upstream of your engine, musculature here. Then you use your imagination because you have many, many features to the animal design, as we'll learn in this course. But broadly speaking, meaning from another planet, everything that's on Earth or anywhere else fits inside the very modest drawing with which I began in this spot on the blackboard.